I have this friend who she fears that she's like a quote unquote bad mom whenever she lets her daughter watch a movie. Like sometimes she'll even call or text me like, am I a bad mom? I let my daughter do this. I let my daughter watch this. Am I a bad mom? And I'm, constantly like, no, you're not a bad mom for that. You're not a bad mom. But, I do want to know, what does healthy, developmentally supportive screen use actually look like in everyday family life? How can families use that to support them?
Well, that the mom guilt is so real, and it's so real and it's so intense. And if you're getting up every day and you're doing it, you're a good mom. So now, what healthy screen time can look like is having clear boundaries, you know, because it's fun to watch a screen. Children would pretty much do it without limit if a limit's not imposed on them. So it is our job to put limits to it. Establish a routine when it comes to screen time. Maybe for an older child, that looks like you get an hour of television after all your homework is done, after chores are done, after we as a family have spent some time together. Everyone's home routine is different, but for myself, I really try not to use screens at all during mealtime. So that's me being conscious of, am I checking my phone? And then pretty much as a rule for my child to not be on the screen, just because meal times are so important and they're such a source of bonding and health for kids. I think as a rule, when it's not replacing sleep, play, or rituals, and that's going to look different for everyone. If screens can be shared. So we are watching a movie together, family movie night. We are watching something educational that we can then build on, whether that building is a conversation or a project. Uh, If it's something that sparks conversation afterward, that's always a great sign. And we also need to think about our own children's specific sensory sensitivities. There are some kids that have a much lower tolerance for screens. So what may be okay for one child, where you let them watch extended screen time, you set your boundary and your limit, and they're able to walk away pretty much well regulated, that may not apply to another kid. So a lot of this really has to be evaluated based on your knowledge of the child.
That's so true. It's like every child is their own person, and just because you got it down with one, doesn't mean you have it down with the next. It's like being a new parent to each child, right? I think, yeah, I've thought about that as well. Like the screen sharing, like watching a movie together or doing something together, I think is so important. And to add to that too, I think, holding oneself accountable without beating yourself up, without the mom guilt, but being accountable to, check, is this becoming a habit? How frequently are we doing this? Is this benefiting my child? And really like monitor what children are doing. I think, especially in today's world, there are so many apps that have parental controls and settings. And so parents may just rely on those to kind of be the parent. But to me, it doesn't seem like a one size fits all. Kind of how you said, some children are okay with certain things and others aren't. This is like, it's kind of just it seems to me like a blanket tool that, maybe it's filtering out explicit language or explicit content. But that doesn't mean that the content is specifically suited for a young developing brain. I think that there are a lot of content creators that are geared toward children, and some of them are amazing and fabulous and awesome. And some of them are just geared toward getting engagement from the
Mhm.
viewer rather than truly, helping. So I think as a parent, being really involved and knowing whether that's sitting with your child, or if you can't do it in the moment, at least going back through and, looking at the history of what was being consumed when they're using that media. I think that's really, really important. And then going back and asking questions. What did you think about that? What did that feel like? What did that, what happened here?